Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to be looking at the 5 top things to think about at the end of a term. So we're going to look at summative assessments, a few of the tracking screens, we're going to look at exporting journals and transferring children and amending any staff on your account. First thing, let's do summative assessment. So to do that, you'll need to go to your tracking tab here at the top. Let's go over to Key Stage 1 and you'll see a summative assessment screen down here. Let's have a look at individual view to start us off. Select a child, whichever child you want to look at. Let's look at Abby, and whichever period you want to see, you can do by certain subjects. We're just going to look at all the subjects for now. So here you'll see a few things. You'll see the statement on the left here. This column is your map and previous period tiers. Now your map,
your maintained achievement point,
is the tier that you think that child should be working at throughout the year. Now your tiers are up here. You get to set your tiers and colours and abbreviations and all of that in your key stage. Mine are up here. You can see green is working at. So my map score for Abby this year across the board is green, is working at. Now you can input the data here. You can manually override it here using these drop-down menus. So let's say the end of autumn 1, Abby is in fact working above, listening and respond appropriately to adults and her peers. She's working above, so that's where I'm going to put her, working above. If you want to see any details for this statement, any observations or anything like that that comes under this statement, you can use the Show Details button there. When you're happy with all that, you've inputted all the data, you've made any changes you want, save changes up there, and that will update automatically. If we just go to autumn 2 for a second, you'll be able to see here, this little coloured box has appeared. Now this is your autumn 1, your previous period tiers, which is what it says at the top here. So you've got your map, which is the little flag, and you've got a previous tier. We've just marked Abby as working above, which is why we've got a blue one, because blue is our working above colour. So that's just going to show you what she was in autumn 1. Now we're looking at autumn 2. Okay, so that's the individual screen. So let's have a look at the group screen. You can do with this tab up here, and you can select all your filters from here. So decide what period you want to look at, any specific subject. Let's just look at all of them now. We'll leave them for now. So here you can just see you've got all the children's names at the top. Again, you've got a little color code. The flag icon is your map. If you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is, and that would be our autumn 1 data here, working above. That's the map, which is working at. So you can just see your whole group. It's a nice little overview. That's the group screen for summative assessment. Next one we're going to look at is attainment. So tracking out here, key stage 1. This is your attainment screen over here. Let's look at the group view for attainment. So this one differs from your summative assessment screen because it's all about your map score. It's comparing the two. So you've got some columns here, names on this side. Here's your map. So for whatever tier score you've given the child on their map screen, it will come up here. So you can see Eva's is 1. The tier score is the average score from all the observations and assessments that you've made for that child. It's the average of those tiers. And your attainment score is the difference between those two. So you can see the map score is 1, the tier score, so the average, is 1.95, so the attainment score is 0.95. So the category very simply just says they're working above. You know, they've scored more in their assessments than the map score would make you think. You've got Abby's is 3 here, tier score is 2.89, that's a minus 0.11. This gives you, and it says this up here in category, whether the tier score is above, below, or approximately equal to, it gives you a 0.5% either way, a bit like a leeway either way. So we'd still consider Abby working at, because it's only 0.11 below the 3. Okay, so that's the attainment screen. The next tracking screen we're going to look at is the achievement screen. So in your tracking, key stage 1 over here, you've got it here, achievement group view. Now we can see, you can filter this if you want up here by statement or the children. You can select which year and which period you're in, just like all the others, most of the other screens. This is going to show you a few things. It's going to show you the child's MAP score again, which we talked about earlier, and you can see that in their MAP screen as well. So you can see Abby's MAP score here is 3. It's also going to show you the previous tier scores. So if actually we move this to Summative, we can see a few more of them. Here they are. Here's the previous tier scores for Abby, and it takes this straight from the summative assessment screen. And then tier score over here, this is the average score of the child's assessed tiers. It does say all of this up here as well as a reminder. If you scroll all the way down on this page, you'll see another graph here. This is really handy. It shows you percentage of children in each of your refinements, each of your tiers. So I've got 6 tiers here. I can see 67% of my children are working at. We've got 22% working below and 11% need more support. So that's just a really simple way of giving you an overview there of each child achieving each tier. The last tracking screen we're going to look at is the coverage screen. So let's go back into tracking. Key stage 1. Coverage is at the bottom here. This screen is going to tell you the percentage of the statements that you've assessed against and also the number of statements that you've assessed against. So we can see, if we head over to autumn 1 here, we can see Lucy has been assessed in 17 different statements. That is 25 out of the 150. Now this number will depend on which curriculum framework you're using. There's 150 statements in the year 1 so 25 out of 150, which is 17%. You can do this for different periods here. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is exporting the journals. Now to do that, first thing you'll need to do is go to Control Panel. You're then going to go to Manage Children. Now you can do this one of 2 ways. You can do it individually or you can do it in bulk. If you're doing individual, you can just use the cog menu here and you'll see Export Journal to PDF. If you're doing bulk, more than one child, then you can use the tick boxes here and you'll see a drop-down box that comes at the bottom there and you can do Export Journals as PDFs. Now let's just do this one here and I'll show you what it looks like. You'll have lots of options here depending on how you want your PDF journal to look like. So all you need to do is fill out these details on this page and then click the submit button at the bottom. This will then tell you it's queued because it's generating. You'll be able to see this in your download section. So if you click that button and you'll be taken here and this is where they will be generated ready for download with this button here when it's done. A really handy thing on this page is it tells you who's downloaded or who can download this journal here. So you can see here Alan Johnson cannot download. This will be a relative of Abby Johnson and it says here Alan Johnson has not downloaded the file. It's because they can't yet. You can change that directly from here. Are you sure you want to enable downloads for Alan Johnson? Okay, there we go. Now they can download it so you can see easily who's accessed the journal and who can access the journal. The next thing we're going to look at is transferring children. So you might have some children moving to another setting and you need to transfer their profiles to another Tapestry user. So Control Panel, let's go there and you've got Transfer Children here. Now you will see 2 boxes, Send a Transfer and Receive a Transfer. If you've already done this process a couple of times, you might have previous transfers here as well. That's just ones that you've already done. Let's not worry about those for now. Sending a child to another setting, let's do this. Click this button here. What we have to do is select the child that you're sending. Let's send Abby. That's done, and you can do this, you can do multiple children as well, you can do as many as you need to. Important box here, relatives, include relatives. If you tick this box, the relatives that are attached to these children, their accounts will also go with them. Now it's important to note when that happens, those relative accounts are made inactive on the new account. So the receiving setting is going to have to reactivate those ones. This is important if you're receiving children's profiles and their relatives come along. They will be inactive by default, so just remember to reactivate them when you're ready. Observations here. This is the only one that will be made default, include photos and videos. You then have to decide if you want to do group observations, any unapproved observations, or staff-only observations. If you want all those sent across as well, then you'll need to tick these boxes here. Snapshots, this will be your manual overrides for your summative assessment. So if you click this, the summative assessment screen will go with all of your manual overrides in there as well. If you don't click this, it will just do the average for all the observations that you've made, because they'll be sent across anyway. Last one, reports. Any reports that you've made for that child that are linked to the profile, if you want those to go as well, click that one and then start transfer. This is just going to give you a rundown of what you're transferring, how many children, how many observations, etc. Start transfer. The transfer has been started. We can keep track of its progress. Click here. That's going to take us to current transfers. Now you can see this one that we've just started is in progress. It's yet to be claimed. So the receiving setting is going to have to go in here and do the claim, and then that will move along. The last thing we're going to look at is making any changes to your staff. Now, as usual, control panel, and you've got manage staff over here on the left. Let's click on here. Here you'll see a list of all your staff members as well as their status. So we've got active ones here as well as their current profile. So this is PIN only, he's a manager. If you need to make any changes, so maybe some staff members have left and you need to revoke their access, or they've moved up a year and they no longer use Tapestry, whatever it is, you can do so from the cog menu here. Let's just look at making an active. So making an active and deleting works the same way as when you do it for children. Making an active makes them not being able to log on. They can't log on, they can't reset their password, anything like that. But if they're inactive, you can reactivate them at any point. So let's have a look at this. Becky is currently active. Are you sure you want to make them inactive? Yes, let's deactivate. It says they can't reset their password, access Tapestry, deactivate, and it will say here now as their status inactive. So Becky can no longer log on. However, if I need to reactivate her, really easy, just cog menu there, and you'll see make active. Again, activate, and she's back to being active. Simple as that. Very similarly, if you want to do delete, cog menu, delete. This works in the same way. You've got 90 days to restore this profile. If this was an accident, you accidentally deleted them, or you delete them and then you need to bring them back for whatever reason. You've got 90 days in order to do that. After the 90 days, they will be deleted from the account for good. Okay, so it'll give you a little timer here. Deletion will begin after 89 days. If you want to revert that process, again, just use that cog menu and then make active, restore to active, and they're back. That 90 days has now gone. They're back to being active. So that's it, everyone. I hope you found this video useful. A few things to check out just at the end of term on Tapestry. Have a really relaxing break.